Welcome to Unleash Your Inner Goldilocks, how to get it just right. Thank you so much for joining us for another interesting and fun episode with the group and the community that is truly bringing music for mental health. And to kick off this segment, I am going to start with Alicia. And you heard her help us wrap up the last segment. And as we get started, Alicia, please talk to us about the importance of branding, because branding is what gives momentum and legs for a cause to permeate society and culturally embrace it. How do you do this? Why do you do this?
Well, I will start with the why I do branding, and I guess briefly how I got started in it. So I went to school for marketing and sociology, actually. And I got my bachelor's in sociology with a minor in marketing. And I got into it because at the time, I was really just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Music had actually been a huge part of my life growing up. As a kid, I knew from the age of 3, like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a singer. Whitney Houston was my biggest inspiration. And somewhere along that journey, I actually suffered some vocal trauma and had to kind of redirect and figure out, well, what else is there to do? If I can't sing, what else is there to do? And I knew I wanted to go to college and I wanted to get out on my own and, move to Southern California from Central California, from Lompoc, Santa Barbara County. And I knew I just wanted to be able to get out and, experience the world. So I went to college and initially thought, well, if I can't be creative in music, then maybe I can be creative in other ways. And I've always been like really artistic. I used to draw and all that stuff growing up. So I really thought I was going to work for an ad agency after college. But my first job was actually in entertainment and working for a TV network where I kind of got to see a lot about on-air branding. Actually, I worked for the on-air creative department for a NBC network. And I really loved what I was seeing as far as the process of like creating like an identity and connection through visuals. So after I finished that job and I went on to do a couple other jobs that were closely related, I decided to just kind of branch out on my own and do branding and marketing on my own because I really wanted to be able to work with people that I was passionate about working with. I wanted to work on projects that I was passionate about working on and not so much in a corporate setting. So I started my own consultancy where I offered graphic design services and web design services, and just have been kind of trucking along with that for like the last 15 years. And then I eventually got back into music, but there was a time where I really thought music was like out of the question for me. And so I needed to find another creative outlet. And that's my creative outlet. And then
Thank you.
the how. So, branding, influences perception, establishes identity, and that emotional connection. And so, there's actually quite a bit of psychology behind branding, and some sociology behind it as well. And so, my background in sociology actually plays a really key role in like how I create things, how I want people to perceive the message that I'm trying to convey through visuals. Um, so, everything from, placement on a piece of marketing collateral, color scheme, extremely important. And so, when I was asked to come on board and help with Music for Your Mental Health and help to establish their identity and their brand, and to, help them get their message out. I came in and really spent some time figuring out, okay, well, how can we let people know that Music for Your Mental Health is an organization and a collective of people that you can trust. Because that's the biggest thing that you have to build with children, especially. And of course, their parents, but children are, they're usually a little, apprehensive, again with this whole word of like therapy, right? So my job has been to focus more on the music, when creating these flyers and banners and our website and all of that. Focus more on the music, because music has therapeutic properties. And that's how these gentlemen go into these workshops and present music, is that, it's not so heavy on like therapy. We're not asking you to sit on the couch and tell us about all your trauma. But really like come in here and, let's explore music, let's explore, different concepts and subjects that are covered in the music. And then, maybe write your own, make your own music, and be able to tell us what you're going through, what you've been through, and find a way to healing that way.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much, Alicia.
Thank
I
you.
would love to pivot to Sean. Sean, thank you for joining us in this conversation.
Hey,
I would love for you to take a moment and talk to our audience and bring them some insights on why do you do and what do you do as part of this team, because you have a unique role here.
why do I do and what do I do?
Mhm.
Um, I do what I'm most passionate about in this organization because I've seen it, it's been tried and it's been tested, and it's a phenomenal process. Maybe I should start from the beginning as well, like my brother Stevie. Um, I I was a teacher for about 6 years before I got into corrections. And it was there. I mean, even before then, like doing music with Jay and the band, like I've always loved music. Um, but I've never associated music and mental health until somebody actually said, "Hey, music and mental health." And I was like, because it's always been there until someone actually just like cleans off your lenses and shows you that, hey, this is what you're looking at, this is what you're dealing with, this is what you're seeing, this is what you're experiencing. But when I was a teacher, um, one of the things that I noticed was, well, I worked with the, how do you say, the IEP students. I was behavioral interventionist. So the students that most teachers and principals and counselors would call quote unquote bad. I actually I hated that word, and I was voluntarily wanted to work with those children, and I just didn't like the idea of. I understood that that kids weren't bad; they were usually misunderstood. There, being from a similar place, I understood that there's a lot of underlying factors that contributed to their behaviors. So I would bring them into the classroom. And one of the things that I noticed with me having a bit of a musical background was I would start beating on the table, snapping my fingers, humming, singing, and immediately, like the kids would like just like focus their attention on the rhythm, and they'll start singing along, snapping. And it was it was the it was like the key that literally brought them to full attention. Like whatever they were doing, whatever they were thinking, music and live music always just stopped and allowed for them to focus for that moment. And um, it was then when I knew that this was more powerful than what I imagined. I knew how I felt about music, but I didn't know what it was doing until I saw how it affected, children. And um, that became it. After that, it was it. Jay and Haskell didn't have to sell me on being the vanguard for bringing this to every community near you. I saw it. I put it in my backpack, and I was like, let's get this. Let's get this to anybody that will listen, anybody that will have it. And seeing how I was able to bring these kids into classroom with music, get them focused, get their progress up in class, get them doing work. These are kids that would randomly just walk out of class, run across the street, like children that would never try to even complete work. And I got them to doing up to 75% of their work just by taking music breaks and freestyling with the kids. And even in those moments, they would talk about things that what was troubling them. And I saw how it was therapeutic when they would talk about freestyle, would be freestyling and just having fun. And, I don't know what it was about music that made them trust me. And I saw the link. I saw the link between music and mental health, and it was no turning back. It was no turning back. So um, that's a little bit what I do. What I'm trying to do is, now that I'm a correctional deputy, bring this into the facilities. A lot of these guys that I work with, the inmates, they I can see, I can literally look at them and see them sitting in the same classroom chair, not having dealt with the trauma, but now incarcerated. And even now, I use the same techniques when I'm working with them. Like when I'm escorting them, I talk about music. I'll start freestyling immediately. I grab their attention, and it's it's something about music that makes it's like a portal. It makes people want to open up, and um, it's been my goal since I've been a correctional deputy to bring music for your mental health into the facilities, because I have seen the impact it has on people and wanting to do better in life after after working and using music as a tool.
I absolutely resonate with the phraseology you just used. Music opens up a portal.
Okay.
Just the very essence of nature. There's a reason why birds start singing early morning. The chirping of the birds actually open up the chlorophylls and the photosynthesis for all the plants. The very essence of life itself happens with the music vibration. And I remember in my neighborhood, children wanted to grow plants and none of the mothers wanted to grow vegetables because it made the garden look ugly. So I had a garden patch and all the kids would come over and whatever plant they wanted, whether it's pumpkin, cucumber, tomato, each child picked a plant and we planted, but we had a rule. They had to come every evening and they have to talk and sing to the plants and weed and water it with me. And the kids who sang and talked to the plants saw bigger pumpkins, bigger cucumbers, and now the other kids got jealous and now they started singing and talking to plants. So truly, everything around us is showing us the power of vibration, which is music. And when we live in a world where STEM is so emphasized, the underlying brain power for success in STEM comes from music. So I want us to take a moment and talk about how music sets the foundation for the very essence of life. And
Mm,
therefore, it allows us to help people get past their trauma.
Yeah. I mean, Stevie spoke to it earlier when he talked about, the heartbeat and, being in the womb. Um, I know for me personally, I would do my homework to classical music because it would just help me to concentrate. Um, but like understanding the basic frequencies and that kind of connect us all is really what makes what we do so powerful. Um, and I think it's just that acknowledgement of everything you said, Cass, about really understanding how we're surrounded, engulfed in vibration and frequency. Um, I like to think about one of my million side jobs, learning how to be a musician and learning really how to survive in Los Angeles as a musician. I worked for a cable company, and I was a technician that troubleshooted when things went wrong. And I never forget, I went to this one home, and for whatever reason, the um the cable box just wouldn't work. And I was searching through the house. I've tracked all of the wires, and I couldn't understand why it wasn't working. Everything was plugged in perfectly, everything was connected properly, but it wasn't working. And so I accidentally set um the cable box on the ground, and it started working. And then I lifted it up, and it stopped working. And I put it back down and it started working again. And I realized that there was a sound bar that was emitting a frequency that was stopping it from working at a certain level. And when it was beneath it, it would work. And so in very real time, I was experiencing the power of frequency, um, and what it could do and what it could allow and what it could stop. And so I think the way that we attempt to make frequency palatable to children in music, um, to even get to have these more in-depth discussions, starting with regulation and starting with tempo and really unpacking sound, because that's what music is sound. Um, and so starting there, someone asked me a great question. They asked me, what's the first sound I hear when I wake up? And what's the last sound I hear when I go to sleep? And I didn't really think about it. There are so many things happening, and we think about, waking up and turning on music, but what are the sounds that create the environment that we live in, as you spoke to, the birds, these are things that create our environment. And the more we are aware of them, the more power we have to shift and create environments that are meaningful and that are nurturing for us and the types of the lives that we want to live and lead.
Thank you. That was truly deeply felt insight. Do you want to add anything to that, Stevie?
Wow. I think Jay just made the most beautiful story I've ever heard him say. Um, uh, I, I do like to touch on back to the regulation piece. and us just being surrounded by rhythm. Um, I never really considered what I listen to when I wake up and what I listen to the last thing I hear when I go to sleep. And it just reminds me like maybe I do feel my heartbeat before I go to sleep, or when I wake up in the morning is the first thing my heart is beating, which is amazing. But to actually have that rhythm, I know I'm going to challenge, I'm going to handle the day, I'm going to be able to take on the day, and maybe that's kind of the mindset that I'm in, just in general. But that whole movement and music and rhythm is very, very foundational. And I don't think we can ever underlook that, especially when dealing with students who have experienced so much, especially when we're thinking about COVID, because a lot of these kids who we have now are these COVID kids. Even the teenagers that was processing COVID during those years, um, it was a traumatic experience, not just for them, but for all of us. And how do we handle it? We handle it with expressing ourselves through music, um, building that resiliency in our mindset, that we can handle our trauma. We know how to handle every negative emotion that we are dealing with. And I just thought about when Jay was also mentioning music. It brought to me like how powerful not only the sounds but the rhythm of the lyrics that's mixed and blended in. Because I songwrite sometimes on the weekends, and so I love Smokey Robinson because I thought he was one of the greatest. I still think he's one of the greatest songwriters in the world. Um, but I think about like how many heartbreaks he helped me cope with just through his lyrics alone, and how I cling to that in my time of sadness. It helped regulate me at that moment. I was able to pour all my feelings, all my emotions into a song that another man wrote. That's how I know music is powerful. And it inspired me to start writing my own stuff too. So I was like, if he can do it, I can do it because I'm going through this. So, but the power of music mixed with lyrics is an untouchable force. I think we cannot downplay how powerful it can move people. Um, and that's why when I come across people who write music and do music or see music, to make it so negative, it's it's kind of like a disrespect to music. It makes it intolerable. Like, why would you do something so negative or create something so negative when it has so much power? You can imagine how much is destroying or can destroy people, community. Um, I think we cannot, we have to know the power that music holds and how to use it properly. And I feel like with us as a team, Music for Your Mental Health, we've been able to take music and use it in a positive way to build regulation in our students and our kids that we work with, and to help bind and create relationships. I think that's another key part that we've been able to do with music. Um, yeah, that's my little tidbit.
That is very, very valuable. And we are once again towards our end mark here, but I would love to invite Haskell back so that you can share with our audience how to best get a hold of your services, your community engage with you, and leave us with a nugget of wisdom. Haskell style.
Man, Haskell style.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, I would say, well, the best way to catch up with music for your mental health, we're on every streaming platform, or as far as social media platform. But the real easy way to do it is go to our website, musicforyourmental.org. And you can find all the information you need there. The contact, you can read about us, you can see a lot of the work that we've done, and so you can start there. So please feel free to go on there, peruse the website, look at the different our facilitators, who we are. We're human beings, we're people, we're not robots. And we would love to hear from you, talk to you, and find a way to come to your school, your community, your neighborhood, even pop up at your events. So that's the way to catch up with music for your mental health. And just a little word, a nugget. I think as everyone was speaking, I often wonder what the world would be like without music. And that's absolutely impossible because humans, we have music in us. And as we talk, literally when Jay was talking or Stevie was talking, I can literally play chords to their tone. And you can find, like if I say you can find, that's a key on the piano. So we talk in melody every day. So there's no way this world can be without music. It would be a sad, dry, dreary world without music. So that's the first thing. Second thing, along with what Stevie said, I would say whatever is inside is going to eventually come out. So a lot of times what people are sharing with the world, whether it be negative, over sexualized, positive, whatever, depressing, it's because that's how they live. And that's the best way to get to know a person is to hear them talk. And they'll eventually, so a lot of times we're all catfished by folks that say all the good things about themselves until they get in a situation and they open their mouth and they tell on themselves. Because you're going to end up seeing and hearing some things that you're not going to see face value, face off. So allow people to speak long enough and you will get the picture. You will find out. So
Absolutely.
I say it's all in us. Whatever's in there is eventually going to come out. So put good things in,
Absolutely well
so good
said.
things can come out. There you go.
Absolutely well said. And true, music is all around us. The very essence of the universe is vibration. That means it's music.
Yeah.
Whether we hear all the vibrations or not is a different thing.
Yeah.
Dogs hear more than us. So whatever we are able to hear, whatever resonates for us, that's music. But I want you to focus on the power of music, the healing potential, the ability for us to be regulated. We live in a world where everybody is utterly unregulated. Social media gives everybody anonymity that people feel they can say anything. But what we put into this world comes back like a boomerang. Karma, boomerang, whatever you want to call it, it comes back to us. So the world we truly sustain is our own. Why not do it with music? Why not do it with joy? Why not do it to build bridges and truly embrace one another? Because when we start with music, we don't see anything else. We align and we regulate vibrationally. And from there, we get to live our authentic self. So as you go about your weekend and as you go about your week ahead, remember, let your music guide you. Let your music bring you peace. And let your music truly take you to places the rest of the world is keeping you away from.